Help me hit 1,000 subscribers, support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone, thank you. The restaurant glowed with soft amber light, the kind that made every table feel private, as if the world outside had paused in respect for the quiet celebrations happening inside. I had chosen this place because it was where Evelyn and I had first eaten together 3 years ago, when she was still settling into her new job and I was still learning how to love someone who cared so fiercely for everything she touched. Tonight was our anniversary, and I wanted it to feel like a reminder of everything we had survived, and everything we hoped to build. Evelyn arrived breathless, cheeks flushed from the December cold, her dark blonde hair pulled into the loose twist she wore when she was running just a bit behind. She smiled at me, that soft upward pull that always made me feel like the room had shifted its center toward her. But something in her eyes flickered, fatigue, maybe. Or worry. I made a mental note to ask. "You look beautiful," I said as she sat down. "You always say that," she replied, but her smile warmed. We ordered wine. Talked about the past year. I told her about a ridiculous client at my firm. She laughed. She told me she'd been assigned a new project that would demand long hours. I listened. Our hands touched across the table the way they always had, naturally, like gravity knew what it was doing. Then a shadow fell across our table. I looked up and felt every muscle in my shoulders tighten. Carter Whitfield. Evelyn's boss. A man whose reputation was whispered through hallways, brilliant, ruthless, entitled. A man who believed pressure created diamonds but forgot that people weren't minerals. His grin was too wide as he looked at Evelyn. "Fancy seeing you here," he said, ignoring me completely. "You should have told me you were leaving early, we've got that presentation coming up." Evelyn tensed beside me. "It's my anniversary, Carter." I cleared it with Jenna before leaving. "Oh, I know," he said dismissively, his eyes still fixed on her. "But your mind at work, remember? I need you focused." The words hit me like a slap I hadn't been braced for. Mine. He had said it like she was a possession he had every right to direct, even outside the office. Patrons at nearby tables glanced over, sensing the wrongness hovering between us. Evelyn inhaled slowly. I knew that breath. It wasn't fear, it was restraint. "Carter," she said calmly, "I'm off the clock." "That doesn't change the fact that I rely on you," he snapped. "And this," he gestured around, as if our dinner were an inconvenience, "isn't exactly responsible timing, is it?" I felt heat rising in my chest. "Is there a reason you're interrupting us?" I asked, trying to keep my voice controlled. For the first time, Carter looked at me, with the expression of a man noticing dust on his cuff. "I'm speaking to my employee. Kindly stay out of it." Evelyn's hand tightened around mine under the table. Carter leaned closer to her. "We need to finalize the proposal. I expect you online by 8 tonight. I own your work hours. That's how this job functions." That word again. Own. The restaurant seemed to still, the warm light dimming under the chill dripping from his tone. Evelyn straightened, the tension in her shoulders sharpening into something else, resolve. "Carter, you need to leave. You're not in a position to tell me that." He laughed softly. "You should be thanking me. Without me, your department would collapse. And let's be honest, you wouldn't be where you were without my guidance." Her eyes darkened. Not with fear. With something deeper, something she kept buried beneath years of professionalism. I felt it rising in her, the way a storm builds pressure before the first strike of lightning. "Carter," she said, her voice carrying a clarity that made every table around us pause, "I don't belong to you at work. Or anywhere. You don't own me. You don't direct my personal time. And you certainly don't get to speak to me like this in public." His jaw twitched. "Watch yourself." "No," she replied, her tone razor smooth. "You watch yourself. Because I've been quiet for too long. I've tolerated the late-night demands, the last-minute changes, your constant intrusion into my personal hours. But this, walking into my anniversary dinner to pull rank? That's not leadership. That's insecurity wrapped in ego. His face reddened. Evelyn continued, voice steady, controlled, devastating. You rely on me because you've built your department around overworking the people who fear you. I don't fear you. And starting tomorrow, HR will have a written record of every inappropriate request, every time you assign me responsibilities outside my job description, and every moment like this one. Gasps rippled from the tables nearby. Carter froze, not because of embarrassment, but because he had never been challenged like this. And one more thing, Evelyn said, leaning forward. The company doesn't own me. My time outside the office doesn't belong to you. And if you ever imply that it does again, you'll be answering to more than HR. You'll be answering to legal. Carter's lips parted. Then closed. His face paled. For the first time since I'd known of him, he looked small. This isn't over, he muttered. Oh, it absolutely is, Evelyn replied. He hesitated, then turned sharply and walked away, the room silently watching his retreat. When he reached the entrance, he looked back, as if hoping she would call out, apologize, shrink. She didn't even glance his way. When the door closed behind him, the restaurant slowly returned to its quiet hum, though a few people still stared, admiration softening their expressions. I exhaled. Evelyn, that was necessary. She leaned back, shaking lightly with the aftershock of confrontation. I should have said it months ago. You were incredible. She let out a shaky laugh. I was tired of letting someone else control how I lived. I won't let work swallow me whole. Not when we have our life to build. Not when this, she gestured between us, matters more than someone else's ego. I reached for her hand again, and this time she held it with a steadiness that felt like a vow. Happy anniversary, she whispered. Best one yet, I replied. Around us, the restaurant returned to warmth and celebration. But something in Evelyn had changed, something fierce and true. She had stood up not just to a man, but to a pattern, a weight she'd carried for too long. And as we continued our dinner, laughter slowly replacing tension, I realized her comeback hadn't just stunned the room. It had freed her. And that was the real celebration.